Welcome everyone back to a Dire Dominion Mark 4. I am Zentor, your host and administrator of this world. Today we're going to do an introduction about our server, who I am, and what we're up to here on the Dire Dominion. Starting here at spawn, we are playing Minecraft 1.17 on a Spigot server. We have a few plugins for quality of life, ease of convenience kind of thing. We'll go over those shortly. And we have started this world approximately 3 months ago or so. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is do a quick little flyover of the core lands and some of the builds around here. Then I'm going to jump to our base to go over more. So Dire Dominion is an old name for us. We've run a few servers, a few iterations of servers, I should say, over the years. I originally started playing Minecraft in late alpha on, I guess, a hacked copy more than 10 years ago, before I purchased Minecraft around 1.1, 1.2 beta. And since then, I've been playing off and on with my friends on various versions of vanilla Minecraft, some modded Minecraft like Feed the Beast, an ATL launcher, and all that stuff, and have recently gotten back to it. So, got this world going again. Well, not again, I should say. It is new. We started this one late April, so it was a 1.16.5 generated world, but we kept it fairly small before we started expanding when 1.17 came out. We have a few quality of life plugins like I was saying earlier. I'll go ahead and show you some of those now. I'll go over some of those and explain what they're here for. Oh, nearly out of rockets. Probably should land and get some more. Travel, travel, travel. There it is. Oops. Alright, so you'll see some of those in action right there. We have a chest locking plugin that's good for doors and other various inventory blocks. That's LWC, just for privacy. We have some anti-griefing plugins set up. And then we have essentials to link in with a bunch of our goodies, especially a couple of warps. We don't really use much in the way of teleportation on a Dire Dominion. We want to keep it pretty vanilla. But we do have a warp to spawn, a warp to the market, and a warp to the end portal. And players do have access to the /set home for only one home that they can warp over to as well. Otherwise, we want to use the existing transportation methods that are in the game. Most common and most popular would be Elytra, although we do have plans to eventually add some blue ice roads in the nether. Alright, so we're going to do a quick fly over the Ironlands, which is kind of a mini kingdom controlled by the despotic ruler, Lord James. And that's going to kind of segue into one of our favorite plugins that we've had several times over the years, which is Dynmap or Dynmap, which gives you a live Google Maps kind of bird's eye view of the world where you can see players and their builds in 2D or 3D, and it goes for all the worlds that we have currently on the Dire Dominion. So our overworld, our nether, and our end world. So we're going to switch over to that real quick and take a look. All right, so this is our live web map. This is our server world of a Dire Dominion. You should be able to see this now. And as you can see, when we go to the IP of our address, which is currently going to be blurred or blocked out, you can see our world in real time. So you can see my character right up there. You even see my health and my armor status right there. And you can zoom in and zoom out to various parts of the world. We have icons for the notable places in our world, which we let our players come up with the names and just add it to the map. And you can kind of navigate around and you can tell which biomes there are. Like here's a giant snow biome. It's one of our players, Frozen OJ. You see the darker green over here is a jungle, which is actually named oceans. And you can even zoom in and see features that are underwater, like there's a monument temple and big deserts and savanna biomes. And then switching over to the 3D menu, which pops in whenever you scroll over to the right in desktop mode. If you're on a tablet, it'll be slightly different. You can go to 3D here and zoom in. And that way you can see builds a little bit easier. So there's our spawn building right there. And it even works for the nether, although it's not very useful because everything is so dark and hard to see in the nether, and the end world as well. So that is probably one of our favorite plugins, and we've used it many times over the years because it is so functional and so useful. Helps you plan your builds, helps you navigate. It's just infinitely useful. So we're going to switch back to the game view and continue with our little recording. All right, so we're back here in the Ironlands, as we were talking about it a minute ago, and in our first-person view as usual. So we're going to continue on just for a second onto the up-and-coming village of Jamestown before we move on to our next location. So we like to keep it pretty simple here. We do have some light role play that we kind of engage in on Discord, and to some extent to justify our shenanigans, I guess you could say, in game. Uh, and that's a lot of fun. And we do have a lot of plans actually in the future to develop some story elements of role play in order to give some quests and things for the players here. So we are currently looking for active members to continue to contribute to our world. And I'll post information about that on how you can contact us if you're so interested. But we do have some dedicated fun people so far. So here's the town of Jamestown. This is also in the Ironlands Dominion. There's a shop right over there. That one's made by myself and various houses around the town. So this town is actively being built in right now. The ship out there that's being worked on, as well as the docks in development. And then Lord James built his estate right up there, which has a nice facade. The back end is currently being worked on. We have an axolotl here that is selling his fishy wares. And that's going to be another segue into our shop plugin. So players have the ability to create shops here in a Dire Dominion, and you can actually use player entity, or sorry, default to villager entities, or you can also use different mobs. And so one of our players, the Axolotl King, has role played to be the king of the Axolotl people, and so most of his shops have axolotls manning them, as he sees them as kind of like a sentient humanoid race, or at least interacting with humans. And so this guy is selling fish, which is appropriate since they're quite the hunters of the sea, wolves of the sea. And he's got his little boat, I guess, that he came over on. So players are able to create shops. They purchase the shop spawn egg at the spawn building, which is 25 emeralds. Emeralds is currently our default currency. It's an item-based currency. Although these shops also allow you to purchase or to sell items in exchange for other items. So for instance, if you only want to get diamonds in your shop, you could sell your fish for an amount of diamonds instead, or string or wool or whatever you want. So that's all configurable by holding shift and then right clicking on the shopkeeper itself, which I can't do because this one is not mine. So that's a really nice feature of the game, and it keeps players' inventory safe and doesn't rely on the sort of distrusting other people um, method. So from here, we're going to go ahead and warp to the market. Oops. Which is a new warp, and people are just starting to build there actually. And you'll see there's a cooldown timer for our warping so that people aren't just using them to like escape PvP or other uh, survival aspects of the game. And it actually, if you move too quickly or if you are fighting while you're trying to warp, it'll cancel the warp automatically. So here we are at the warp location of the market. As I said, it's being built, so it is very much under development as far as the build. But we do have a couple of shops already rolling. This one is my shop here. This is a rocket, elytra, and armor shop, which I currently only have rockets. I had an elytra in here, but that one's already sold. And I have my villagers in here on either side of the shop. This particular pixel art, by the way, I will give credit to in the description below because I cannot take credit for this. I found it online, but it is quite beautiful and I'm very happy to see it here. As I was saying earlier, our shopkeepers allow you to set your prices for anything here in the shop. So I have duration 1, 2, and 3 rockets at different prices. And then if I hold shift and right click it, I come up to the editing menu for our shop. I'm not going to get into this a whole lot right now. I'll do a separate video just on shopkeepers, but it allows you to take a peek at what our editing menu is. And so you can even change the look of the villagers. You can have a baby variant, and then you can also change the variant, the biome variant for the villagers. And then you can also change whether you want to use a villager or a mob. All right, so that's the basics of what's going on here at the shop. One of our members, the Fern Witch, is currently building this awesome copper infused shop here that she's going to be populating soon. And we've got Lord Talon over here with his dark inspired shop that I believe he's going to be selling all kinds of goodies out of. Let's just pop up to the top. So this one is definitely being worked on as well, but it is looking really cool so far. Definitely gives you a very commanding view of the district. Okay, yeah, it looks like he is currently setting up the shops in it. Alright, so we're going to pop to our base, give a peek of what's going on over there, /home, which is part of the Essentials plugin I was telling you about earlier. Players have the ability to have one warpable or teleportable home as their base, but otherwise have to rely off of the existing in-game transportation methods. Alright, it's loading around me. I live in a hole in the ground. I have big plans and big hopes and ideas for this place, but it currently needs a lot more work to make it happen. But I do have a bit of a farm frenzy around here, so there's a lot going on. Got my cactus farm. I have a big automated sugarcane farm utilizing a flying machine to break all the blocks. With the collection underneath, I've got a dual melon and pumpkin farm with collection using mine carts. I'm really into the mechanical development side of things, but I love to see really creative builds as well around the world, and I try to attempt those at times. So I have a really slow drip farm or a dripstone farm right over here. This big room originally started as my storage room, and I was going to make a big sorting system, which this system is functional, but it really only holds mining blocks, you know, diorite, andesite, stone, dirt, all that stuff. And it is efficient. I just dump in items into this chest, shoots up through this column. And yes, I know these are not as efficient as dropper baiters or things like that, but it's really cool to see a whole bunch of items shooting around. I do have intentions to replace this whole room with a much more sophisticated shulker box unloader sorter system, but that's a really big build for another day. So as it started, I set in this side of it, and then I ran out of iron before I had to build an iron farm, and so the rest of it is just old style shelves. And then I set up this area back here with intentions of making it a villager hall, but I decided it was too tight to be breeding and having villagers back here. So I moved those guys around the corner over here. I have a double potato and carrot farm right there that I just get the carrots from, or I get the carrots and potatoes from to generate emeralds. I have a breeder right down here. Whoa, nice. And then this is my villager hall along this back wall, which is currently about half populated. So I have all my trades running down here, guardians to protect it, and that kind of sits in the corner of my base. And then in the opposite corner, if we fly right over there real quick, this massive room, I have intentions of making a sort of grand library with little nooks and crannies of enchanting areas and whatnot, but that's being realized eventually. And then I have this squid farm. It's a glow squid farm so that I can actually get some glow ink. And I have the collection up there. I actually have I've recently finished this farm, so I just have a piece of granite here to block the light going in there, but it is working very well so far. So we're gonna stop this back up with some granite before I set up an actual chamber to hold all that in. And then I have this auto mining, or not auto mining, auto smelter room, which I was really happy with the aesthetics and how it came out. So what it does is has a similar elevator to the one we saw over there. You just drop items in this chest, it shoots back through there, feeds into the smelters, and then drops them down under here. And then I have coal that feeds into the side of them. So it's not a lot of smelters, but it gets the job done. And I don't really need XP because we have other XP farms. In the end, we do have an Enderman farm or Ender XP farm. And then we also have a few other ways to generate XP. Alright, so we're going to shoot up to the top real quick to conclude our mini tour. Show you what's going on up here. As I said earlier, this is a bit of a farm frenzy for me recently. There's a iron farm over there. I have my tree farm, which we'll take a better look at later. And then off this direction over the lake, I have a creeper farm, which you can see rendering in the distance. And then well beyond the jungle, I have a guardian farm as well. So we're going to get more into all of these builds in a future video. I wanted to keep this one fairly simple for now. But before we go, we want to take a peek at one of our favorite builds, or one of my favorite builds, I should say. Enderport. End portal is the Village of Fernia, which is a build that's being orchestrated by one of our members, the Fern Witch. Let's look at that right now. Alright, so I warped to the end portal because it is fairly close to Fernia. And then we'll just fly over there. Alright, so let's head out over here. So this is the mega complex of Scudsy, the industrial farmer, with one of his shops right there. Actually, we'll take a peek inside his shop just to take another look at those shopkeeper plugins. So on this one, he's got his pumpkin-inspired pumpkin shop, where he sells, well, mending books actually, golden carrots, and pumpkin pies. Go across the bridge of the Central Sea, and we'll pop down for one of the best looking places on our world currently, which is the Village of Fernia. And actually looks really, really good at night. So let's get way up here and then we'll kind of do a zoom down. All right. Mushroom-inspired, witch-centered coven of the Fern Witch. And she built this really awesome looking red mushroom, custom red mushroom right in the center with its roots kind of spreading out from the center of the village. It's really, really neat looking. So beautiful little town she's got going right over here. In the distance, that's actually another holding of Scudsy's, which you can kind of see from here. But that's going to go ahead and conclude our video for today, folks. I wanted to show you guys some of the things that's going on here. In future, we're going to go over in depth more of our plugins and what our exact plans are for the future. But thank you for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe. Take care.